I would like to introduce myself and the Financial Wellness Center. My name is Faith, and I'm a senior here at the University of Oregon. I'm a sociology major, and I'm also a financial wellness counselor with the program.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start out and welcome you as well. My name's Shauna Harper, and I'm an assistant director in the scholarships office. In the Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships. Today I'm here to talk to you about the scholarship search. So let's get started. So today we're going to spend our first 30 minutes or so talking about scholarships, including finding your own motivation for applying for scholarships. We're going to discuss where you can look for scholarships, both at the University of Oregon and outside of the U of O. We'll discuss how to avoid scams, how to apply for need-based financial aid, and we'll discuss some best practices for writing essays. So let's get started. So I like to think of applying for scholarships as a part-time job because you will put a lot of effort into working on your scholarship applications. So what's the job description? Well, you can work from home or really anywhere. You can pick your own schedule and your hours, and potentially you can choose your own pay. The qualifications for this job is that it requires some research, and some of which we're going to do today. And then you must be willing to meet strict deadlines and write essays. The fine print, however, is your employer may decide not to pay you. So you may or may not receive all of the scholarships you apply for, and then you won't see your paycheck for a while. Right now, you're going to be applying for scholarships that will most likely start in the fall. So one benefit to scholarships is they can help lower your future debt. So for instance, this year, maybe you're a sophomore and you take out a $6,500 loan. You will make $67 per month payments on that loan for 10 years. And in the end, you'd end up paying about $8,000 for that loan that you borrowed. Say your sophomore year, you earn a scholarship for $6,500, and that allows you to either borrow less or borrow no loans that year. Um, that means you'll have no payments on that scholarship because you don't have to pay back your scholarships or grants. And then maybe you spent 6.5 to 8 hours working on that application. So you end up earning about $1,000 an hour, which is a great return on your investment. So where are you going to find these scholarships? You can look at the University of Oregon, within your community, the state, and beyond. So first at the University of Oregon, I really like to tell students to start locally, start looking at the U of O first for scholarships. And one of the scholarships that we administer through our office is a General University Scholarship. We also administer the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, and I'll tell you more about both of these scholarships soon, including where to apply. We also have, you may have scholarships available through your major or your college or specialty program. For instance, you may be a College of Education major. There's scholarships available through the College of Ed or health professions majoring in a health professions program. There's scholarships available through there as well. You also may be able to find different scholarships in your community. So if you're involved in Greek life or different clubs on campus, you may have opportunities through there. If you're involved in a church or a religious organization, you may have scholarship opportunities available there. Hometown or civic groups such as Kiwanis or Rotary, those organizations may have different opportunities available. And then either your employer or a parent's employer may have different opportunities either through their place of employment or through a union if they have a union representative. And one of the things is you don't know unless you ask. So it's always good to ask and see what opportunities may be available for you. Within the state of Oregon, we also have an organization called OSAC. It's the Office of Student Access and Completion. They host one application for over 600 scholarship opportunities. While most of the opportunities are limited to Oregon residents, there are some opportunities that are available for neighboring states, such as Northern California, or like the Vancouver portion of Washington, that you may be able to look at. A lot of scholarships on their site are geared toward high school students, but they also have a lot that are geared towards current college students. So I would definitely recommend looking at their website. And then another organization that's worth a look is the Ford Family Foundation. They have scholarships for students who are transferring from community college to a four-year school. Scholarships for students who maybe took a break in their college education and are now coming back. And they also have scholarships available for single parents as well. And then beyond the University of Oregon, we actually host a scholarship bulletin board on our website, and I'll show you where to find all of these places in just a little bit, including the scholarship bulletin board. But most of the scholarship opportunities on that bulletin board are some as local as Eugene, and then some that are national opportunities through different organizations like phone companies or different things like that. So the pool of applicants for the scholarship offered on the bulletin board really vary based on what opportunity it is. And then we'll also talk a little bit about scholarship search engines such as FastWeb or scholarships.com, and show you where we have a couple links to those scholarship search engines available. Okay, so starting locally at the U of O, we have the General University Scholarship. So this is a one-time award, and what that means is you do have to apply for this scholarship every year. So if you receive it, for your junior year, you definitely have to reapply for your senior year. The awards range from $1,000 to $3,000. It's available for undergraduates and graduate students, and resident and non-resident students. Um, International students are able to apply as well. And you do need to have at least a 3.5 GPA. The selection committee is going to look at academic performance, extracurricular and community involvement. It does require a letter of recommendation. And they'll be looking at your writing ability in the essays that you write. For continuing students and graduate students, the application is due on March 1st. All right, and then we have the Diversity Excellence Scholarship. So this is a renewable award. So once you receive the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, you'll receive a set number of terms that you're able to receive it, and it will continue with you throughout your current degree program. Undergraduate and graduate students can apply, resident and non-resident. It's not available for international students. You do have to have at least a 3.0 GPA. Oops, sorry about that. So the selection committee is going to consider past academic performance, participation in activities, an individual's ability to contribute to diversity, and preference is given to students with financial need who are first generation and are Oregon residents. It is due on March 1st as well, and you do need to have a letter of recommendation submitted for this scholarship as well. Because we do require financial need, you do need to submit either a FAFSA or an ORSA. If you are a non-resident student who is undocumented or has DACA status, you can use the ORSA to demonstrate financial need, and I'll show you where to find that a little bit later in the presentation. Okay, so next I'm actually going to go to our website. Hopefully this works, and show you some places where you can find all the resources that we just talked about. Okay, so this is our main scholarship website. So from here, you'll see that we have different tabs available. So if you are an incoming freshman, you can click here for scholarships. A graduate or law student, you can click here for different scholarships available. International students can click here. And then we're going to go ahead and look at the current and transfer students for today. And then I'll also mention on this page, there's a link directly to the bulletin board. And then there's also a link to get into this UO scholarship dashboard. And that is where you're going to apply for both the General University Scholarship and the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, as well as some different um, major and specialty area scholarships. And I'll show you exactly how to get in there soon. But just know that when you get here to financialaid.uoregon.edu/scholarships, you'll have access to all of these different links in one centralized location. So let's go ahead and click on the current and transfer students website. So from here, you're going to see exactly what we talked about, General University Scholarship, and a link to a detailed explanation of everything that needs to be submitted with the General University Scholarship. I'm going to go ahead and go back to that page. Same thing with the Diversity Excellence Scholarship. And then you'll also see a link to different departmental scholarships. So if you're a student in the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Arts and Sciences Dean's Office scholarships are available through the UO Scholarship Dashboard. But you can go to this link and actually see, when the scholarships are due. Deadline's coming up, so March 8th is pretty soon. And then you can see the different scholarships that they offer. So a College of Arts and Sciences scholarship for sophomores, juniors, and seniors for $1,000 to $2,000 that requires academic merit. And the list goes on for the different scholarships they offer. We're going to go back to that main page. Same thing with the College of Education. So you can go to their webpage if it loads, perfect. And you can see everything that they require for their scholarship and a link to where to go to apply. And then there's also different interdisciplinary scholarships that we link to. So if you're a student who's looking at becoming a nurse or a dentist, you can look at different scholarships offered through Health Professions Office. You can also link to scholarships available through the Dean of Students or studying abroad. There's lots of different scholarships available for studying abroad. And then I'll also click on this Find Other Scholarships link as well. It repeats the same information we already looked at, but then it also has a few more links to if you're looking at national or international distinguished scholarships, if you're looking at searching for scholarships outside of the U of O, so some of those search engines we talked about, like FastWeb, collegescholarships.org, scholarships.com. We have a few links there, and then also a link to the scholarship bulletin board. Different state agencies, so a link directly to OSAC, the one application for over 600 different scholarships, the Ford Family Foundation, and a couple other state organizations such as the Oregon Community Foundation. And then if you are a resident of another state, you can click here on the other state agencies to see if your state your home state offers any similar scholarship central places. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and look at the scholarship bulletin board really quick to show you what that looks like. So there's different scholarships available. Here's one for law students that's due May 3rd. Another one for students who are looking to major in urban planning and computer science, due March 31st. So definitely a plethora of different scholarships available through the scholarship bulletin board that you should definitely check out. Okay, so now that we've kind of looked through the through the scholarship webpage, I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint and show you how to log into the scholarship dashboard. So once you get to the UO scholarship dashboard, you're going to go ahead and click sign in, and you're going to ignore all of these other logins, the Facebook, Google. You can ignore all of those, and you're going to log in with your UO Duck ID, username and password, sign in, and then the first thing you're going to see is this general application. So the general application is different than the general university scholarship application. So the general application kind of acts as the resume portion of your scholarship application. It's going to ask you to list activities, work experience, any honors or awards, community service, and ask you to answer some pretty general information that we'll use to match you to different scholarship programs. It's the first step in order to complete either your general university or your diversity excellence scholarship. And then also we have College of Education scholarships. Those are coming up due pretty quickly on February 12th. Graduate school, and then a whole host of different programs available through the dashboard. So one of the components of the application, especially for the General University and the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, is letter of recommendation. And you're going to come across this in a lot of different scholarships you look for, is that the organization may ask for a letter of recommendation. So if you're being asked to provide one, you should choose someone who knows you. The scholarship may ask for a specific type of reference, such as a professor. So start building those relationships now. While we're remote, it can definitely be difficult to create those same connections that you might have been able to create while we were on campus. So you can stand out by going to virtual office hours and ask questions to make that connection with those professors. And also make sure you give your reference enough time to complete the letter of recommendation or reference. At a minimum, ask them at least 2 weeks ahead of time. If you're thinking about applying for the General University or the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, make sure you go in and apply and complete your general application and submit the request for the recommendation now. So that way your references have enough time to complete that by March 1st. And you're going to want to help your reference help you. It's helpful if you share your story with them, and it's totally appropriate to share a draft letter of recommendation with your reference, highlighting what the scholarship wants to hear that's specific for that scholarship opportunity, especially if it's someone who you know, but maybe don't know very well. And also be sure to thank your reference for their time. Especially, you may need to ask them again for a reference. So save their contact information and definitely thank them for helping you out with the scholarship. Next, one thing that I do want to just touch on briefly while we're talking about scholarships is make sure that you avoid anything that seems too good to be true. So, if an organization outside of the university is asking for a payment or for you to purchase something such as like an application fee or a processing fee, that's probably too good to be true. If something is a guarantee, so if you provide this information, we guarantee we'll give you X, Y, and Z, that also may be too good to be true. If it's something where they're asking for very personal information, such as a social security number, or something of that nature, I would also stay away from those opportunities and trust yourself, because as you read something, you'll know if it sounds like it's a good opportunity or maybe one to skip for the time being. And if there's fine print, make sure you read it. Make sure you're comfortable with the organization before you submit your materials. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about applications you can complete that don't require any essays. So the FAFSA and the ORSA can qualify you for money that you don't have to pay back, money that is based on financial need. And specifically for the FAFSA, you may be eligible for a Pell Grant, an Oregon Opportunity Grant, a tuition waiver, a federal supplemental educational opportunities grant, or work study if you complete your FAFSA application. The U of O's priority deadline for completing the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, is March 1st, so it's coming up pretty quickly. If you haven't completed that, definitely make sure you do before March 1st, because if that deadline goes by and you may have qualified, for all of these opportunities after March 1st, we can't guarantee that you would be able to receive these different financial aid types. You're going to go to studentaid.gov in order to complete your FAFSA, and this is what it'll look like when you get there. All right, and then I also talked a little bit earlier about the ORSA. So the ORSA is the Oregon Student Aid Application. It's the alternative to the FAFSA for undocumented Oregon students, including students who have DACA status. And this is how you demonstrate need for the Oregon Opportunity Grant if you're an Oregon resident, OSAC scholarships that require financial need, the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, including if you are a non-resident student who needs to demonstrate need. This is how you're going to do that, is through that ORSA application if you are a student who is undocumented or has DACA status. And then also for some departmental scholarships, they may require financial need. So you'd use the ORSA to demonstrate financial need. It's available at oregonstudentaid.gov. When you get there, you'll click on Plan and Pay for College, and then FAFSA and ORSA, and the page will look like this. All right, so then what is financial need? We talked a little bit about, demonstrating it. So financial need is something that may be required for a scholarship. It is it may be required, it may be preferred, or not required at all. Financial need is really just the difference between your cost of attendance and what your expected family contribution is once you complete that FAFSA. It's a number at the very end that says, it helps us determine that financial need. And then any student can submit financial info. So we touched on the FAFSA and the ORSA, and then through the International Affairs Office, they have the International Affairs Financial Resource Form that you can complete. So what are some common essay topics? Well, essays may focus on things that you've done, what you can become, or who you are. For example, an essay prompt may ask you to tell us about your most significant leadership experience, or how this award can help you achieve your goals. You may also be asked about a personal experience. Talking about ourselves can be really challenging. So as you're, thinking about the different essay prompts that you're going to be faced with, you can imagine that you're talking about talking with your best friend. What types of things would you be talking about? What would you be sharing with them? You may be sharing with them your dreams, your hopes, your fears. The scholarship readers want to get to know you on a deeper level through the essays. So they want to know more about, what you've accomplished and what makes you you. Why a particular event had a deep impact on your life. And the most impressive essays are the ones that give us a glimpse into these conversations. And if they're successful, create a sense in the reader that they want to invest in you. So it's important to do some self-reflection as you're preparing to craft your essay. So think about, the accomplishments you're most proud of. Are there causes that you're really passionate about? What talents and abilities make you unique? What challenges have you faced and overcome? And then how do you plan to change the world? Don't underestimate yourself as you're working on essays. As I said, talking about yourself can be really hard, but we all have, stories to tell, and we all have stories to tell that we want to make sure that we tell in those essays. So let's kind of let's go through an exercise and draft an essay with Julie. Julie's a fictional student at the U of O who's a junior and wants to apply for scholarships. She did some self-reflection and came up with the following ideas for potential essay topics. So Julie played tennis throughout high school, enjoys singing, and participates in an a cappella group on campus. Julie is a top scholar who who is a College of Education major and wants to become a teacher, and is passionate about girls and women's rights around the world and has traveled abroad to volunteer. So Julie's now going to be faced with this essay prompt. So scholars are committed to making the world a better place. They are investing in solutions, advocating for others, and giving back to their communities. However, most started with small steps. So what steps, big or small, have you taken to make your own impact on the world? And the limit in this case is 1,800 characters. So she's probably looking at around 300 to 400 words. That might be a little long, but right around that for this essay prompt. So, question here is, should Julie write about her experiences in a cappella or her volunteer work abroad? Julie's going to want to research the organization and understand their mission and values, and then re-review that essay prompt to figure out which situation seems the most appropriate for her to talk about in that essay. So another question here is, should Julie write about her overall experience volunteering abroad or an impactful relationship she had with one particular person um, while she was abroad? What Julie's going to want to do is use detailed examples from her experiences to support their claims. And go back to that essay prompt again and see what it's asking for. And, depending on the amount of room you have in that essay, you may have to focus on one specific example, depending on the amount of space you have available. And then the one of the hardest questions to answer is, how should Julie go about starting her essay? I know when I have to start working on, a paper or an essay, I stare at a blank screen and I'm like, okay, what's the first thing to do? So Julie should work on an outline. Starting from scratch is really hard. So start an outline and use that in order to help you craft your essay, and make sure you touch on the things that you want the application reviewer to hear. All right. So as you're drafting your essay, make sure you're crafting an essay that's clear, concise, and that uses language that's easily readable for the reviewer. Make sure that you're following the essay prompts exactly as stated, and are fully answering the questions that are being asked, and are being mindful of the word count. Some for the General University and the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, you have different boxes that you can use to, you have boxes that you complete, or sorry, lost my train of thought. You have boxes where you'll complete your essays, and they have a word count built into them, so you can't go over that word count. However, if you're writing something in Word and attaching it as a PDF or something for an application, just make sure that you're mindful of that word count. Or if it's limited to a certain page number, make sure that you're mindful of that as well. And then make sure that you're reading and rereading your essays and editing them, and use your resources. So ask your friends, instructors, or a parent or guardian to, reread your essays, help you, come up with ideas, and edit those essays before you submit them. So give yourself enough time too. So, if a deadline's coming up in a couple of weeks, maybe you want to go through and actually write a draft today, and then tomorrow you go through and you reread it, make some edits, and then the next day you send it on to somebody to review. You also have resources at the University of Oregon that can help you. So the Tutoring and Academic Engagement Center is available. They have remote appointments, and they are open 7 days a week. Their hours each day are a little bit different, but it's a great resource. And they don't only have writing help available, they have math and a couple other opportunities for help available on their website. So when you go to the engagement center, you'll go to engage.uoregon.edu. You'll click on the tutoring button, and then you'll scroll down on the page and you'll see the writing, and then it gives you the different options in order to have a remote tutoring writing appointment, and then it also gives you information about the online writing lab.
Hey, Shauna, it's Tina. I know you already
Yeah.
spoke about this, but could you highlight which of the UO scholarships are specifically for graduate students? That was one of the questions.
Yes, that's a great question. So, of the ones that we looked at, so the Diversity Excellence Scholarship is available for graduate students and the General University Scholarship. And then there's also scholarships available through the graduate school that are available on the UO scholarship dashboard that you can look at applying for. And if you go back to, let me see if I can go back to this page. So if we go back here and click on scholarships, so we're back at that financialaid.uoregon.edu/scholarships page. If you go here to the graduate and law scholarships, it has the tabs for General University, Diversity Excellence, and then we link to the graduate school here as well. And it gives you an overview of each of the scholarships that are available, and then how you'll apply for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to engage with the peer financial coaching, you can visit our website at financialwellness.uoregon.edu. You can talk one-on-one with a peer financial counselor about earning, spending, borrowing, and so on and so forth. And appointments are available through the end of winter term and again in the spring term. And then, of course, stay connected with us. Financialwellness.uoregon.edu is our website where you can make an appointment, or you can email at financialwellness@uoregon.edu. And of course, follow us at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at UOFinWellness, and our YouTube link you can definitely